Hi, and welcome to this skill sprint video on three-dimensional imagination. Skill sprints are super fast introductory tutorials giving you an overview of something you may not have encountered before or just something new. So what is a three-dimensional imagination? You can call it visualization as well. It is thinking about our space in a way that we can conceptualize in our head. An imagination of where objects are in space can really help you identify what's going on when you can't see it or it's not physically there, but the audience does at the end. So super practical right now, more than ever, but also whenever. We're going to be looking at our imagination and developing this through a mime technique called fixed point. It's a point that is fixed in space. It was good, wasn't it? So a fixed point is something that was developed in the mid-20th century from a bunch of avant-garde dudes. There was a French butcher named Etienne Decroux, literally sitting in his basement wearing loincloths and putting bags over his head. These guys went and they said, hey, we like that, but we also like looking at sculptures and statues and being able to look around an object and see it in more than just two dimensions. Our three dimensions are super easy. They are our X plane, right, our side to side. They are our Y plane, which is straight up and straight down. Our Z plane, which is backwards and forwards. You can take any point in the universe and give it an X number, a Y number, a Z number, and you can have a coordinate, a place that will never move. I just went all 9th grade geometry on you guys. So let's take an example. You can do this with me just sitting down where you are. Start from your middle and hop out twice on your sideways plane. Doop, doop. There you go, right? Sideways plane. Now we can take 2 points forward on our Z plane, doop, doop, and we can go up 2 on our Y, doop, doop. Cool. Now I can just lightly pinch that, and here's the key. A point fixed in space, is going to always stay there no matter what happens for me. I can get closer to it, and it will stay the same. So that is the basics of what a fixed point is. The important thing to remember is that when this object stays still, in relation to the room, I know I'm in a white void, so there's no way for you to know. I promise you, there is a ceiling here, there is a floor, there are walls, there's a door even, I can get out, I can go to the store. When I move, it does not stay the same in relation to me. I get closer to it. I get further away, even though it stays still. So that's the overview of what this is. Now that's a lot of nerd knowledge, that's a lot of science-y, a little bit of exercise. How do we use this? What does this do for us physically, since that's what we're here to do? Let's run through a few exercises. The first we've basically done. Grab a point, pinch it lightly between 2 fingers, do not, and now I want you to explore. Try going sideways, try going forward and back, try going up and down, and try to keep this spot exactly where it is stuck in mid-air. You have to learn what things to relax and what things to control. Do I push my hand hard? Do I let it relax and let it drift with me? You want to be careful that you don't do too much control and that you don't do too much relaxing. It's a mix, it's something you have to experience. Now let's combine those axes. Let's maybe move on a diagonal, maybe sideways and down. I get a diagonal. So we can start adding dimensions, we can make turns and spins. We can try to figure out all sorts of weird moves because we're using all 3 dimensions. That is our sort of freehand fixed point exercise. If that's not your cup of tea, I've got another exercise for you. I'm going to pause here for just 1 second. You might have noticed that you naturally grab points around this area here. We call this our zone of control because this is where the bend of my elbows, the strength of my shoulders, and angles, they all sort of combine to make this easy to deal with. This is where you put your screens, this is where you put your books, This is easy to deal with. Remember that if you are outside of this, things will be harder. Not wrong, just harder to hold. This exercise is much more of a let's get into a rhythm. Let's just get the work into our muscles and not think about it too hard. We are going to take a nice, comfortable standing stance. You can kind of bend your knees a little bit so you have a bit of mobility here. You are going to just, with an open hand, tap your thigh, a little bit of a clap. You are going to keep that hand open until you find a point, and you're going to grab that point. That's it. Do that with your other hand. Open hand, tap your thigh, reach up, grab your point. So now that you have your 2 points, you can continue the exercise. You can let go of the first one, tap your thigh, grab a new point. Let go of the second hand, grab a new point. There you go. The rhythm is there so that you can forget about what your hands are doing and focus your brain on which point you want to grab and keeping those points still while you do the exercise. As you get better, you can increase the speed. You can start to move in extremes. You can make this exercise as hard or as easy as you want. It's really up to you. It's a sort of self-guided practice. Okay, for our final exercise, we're going to need a little something. Some sort of object. I recommend not something hard, not something big, something soft that goes onto the floor. How about a sock? This is going to mark a place on the floor. Woo! Ah! We are going to do a couple different things. So first off, you want to put your object on the floor and you want to put your toes right next to it. We are going to take a step or two, probably 2, away from it. Boom, boom. Bring your feet together. Close our eyes and try to duplicate those steps and land, hopefully, exactly where we started. Nope. Do it again. Take your steps, close your eyes. Even worse. Close our eyes, open your eyes, maybe a half inch off. We are getting used to what that feels like inside. Our eyes are such a good clue to how far away something is. This can be super hard when we turn off that sense. Tuning into that is going to be super helpful because we're about to make this a lot harder. We're going to take our object, we're going to hold a fixed point directly above it. We are going to do our 2 steps back, boom, probably smaller steps since our arm is not as long as our feet. Now, of course, we're going to close our eyes and go backwards. I can already tell I did it a little too aggressively. Yeah? So check yourself. I moved a little bit too forward this way. I know that now, so I'm going to calibrate the next time I do it. I go, okay, too much. That's about where it should be. Let me take those steps back, close my eyes, and I did it again. This time I got my feet right, but I pushed my point too far. This is a super helpful exercise for getting something into our body and making this 3-dimensional space real to us. Now, we aren't just thinking about this in abstract, like, ooh, look, pretty dots everywhere. Now, we are thinking about 3-dimensional space in a way that lets us use it without looking at it. Now I can understand what my body does in different shapes without having to rely on a visualization. I don't have to, if you're a dancer, look in the mirror to know what I'm doing. Now I can start to tune into this internal sense and internal understanding. It's called proprioception. If you are someone who loses your balance or gets disoriented a lot, this can actually really help because now your brain has a framework to understand what's happening to it and how to find your way out of confusing situations. That's going to do it for this video on 3-dimensional imagination, visualization, and fixed point. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and I hope it sort of expanded your horizons, maybe helped you out. If there's anything that you're unsure of, rewind the video. I probably say it again when you rewind it. If you have another question about how this all works or how to go further, please drop a comment below. I should also have some resources posted there for where some of this comes from and how to get a little bit more training if you want it. Also, don't forget to do all the algorithm things like liking, subscribing, following, or whatever it is you're watching this on. Hope to see you again soon, and until then, catch you later.